How on earth have you made any correlation between that? Hi guys, and welcome back to another week of TFW, the football show dominated by all of your opinions, and it's been quite a weekend for football. The Champions League has returned, my trusty iPad has returned, so let's get straight into it. So first up from Vazista D, who has said Real Madrid are nothing without Ramos. The whole defence relies on him. If he isn't playing, Madrid always end up not winning. This is a lot to do with the Raphaël Varane stuff. And don't get me wrong, Raphaël Varane had a terrible performance, but to say that Real Madrid defence is nothing without Ramos is a bit extreme. On one hand, yes, of course they're worse without Ramos. He's one of the best defenders in the world, so of course they're going to be worse when you take one of the best players out. However, the rest of the defence is pretty good. I mean, if you look at the season as a whole, especially in La Liga, they've been outstanding. In fact, actually, they've played 7 games in all competitions without Ramos this season and won 5 of them. So obviously, they're not nothing without him. I do think, yeah, as I said, I do think he is very, very good. But to take away from what the rest of the Real Madrid defence can do, that's a little bit harsh. I've brought up the next one as well because it's kind of in stark contrast to that. So Dinoco Blue has said, hottest opinion, despite Varane's mistakes versus City, he still starts at every team in the world when fit. Whew. Okay, well obviously it depends who every team has in the world in terms of defence. I would tend to agree with that. Would you start Varane alongside Van Dijk? Yes, absolutely. Obviously considering who they've got. Would Varane start for Manchester City? Yes. Every other team in the Premier League, yep. He'd start alongside, Harry Maguire. He's better than all the other defenders in the Premier League. Yeah, I would say he's better than, the likes of PK, Longley, yep. De Ligt and Bonucci. Maybe he'd start alongside De Ligt. Start alongside Bonucci. Yeah, I think Varane probably would start for most teams. And yeah, this is such a classic reactionary thing that every football fan seems to do these days. All I've seen over Twitter on the weekend is people like, Varane's rubbish, Varane's this, Varane's that. He had a bad game. Everyone has a bad game. Like, he had a few poor mistakes. To look back at his career and say, and this is typical English football fans and English media, to assume he has one bad performance against an English team, and then that just means he's crap forever. And that's what he'll be remembered for. If you're forgetting about all the Champions League, the World Cups and everything else that Varane has won, then you're a pretty short-sighted football fan, because my word, he's one of the best defenders in the last decade, for sure. Next up, Kian Dolan has said, hot take, Juventus have acted far too hastily in taking on Pirlo. He's got no managerial experience whatsoever. Very true. I don't know how we can be expected to bring Champions League home without producing a miracle. I completely agree. I don't know why they acted so quick. What was it, like a few hours later? Like, I know they had Pirlo ready for the under-23s. What's wrong with giving him a few more years' experience? This just proves that, being a great player gets you the chances, but doesn't always mean you'll be a great manager. I mean, Zidane and Guardiola at least had experience with the B teams before they came through to get a top-level job. If someone as successful as Allegri or Maurizio Sarri wasn't necessarily super successful, but if someone with their experience, their nous of being a manager can't bring them the Champions League, what makes them think that a completely inexperienced Pirlo will bring them the Champions League? If anything, they're going to be stuck in this position where if he starts poorly, they're still going to stick with him because he's a club legend. And if they fire him, they'll look like dicks for firing a club legend, and he'll ruin his own career by basically taking the bed and shitting it, is I think how the expression goes. I don't think Pirlo's going to win Serie A, and if he does, they're expected to win Serie A, and then what? He's met expectations. I'm really not a big fan of this. Allegri was available, even if they don't want to bring him back. Pochettino was also available. I don't know why they reacted so fast, Juventus. And obviously time will tell if it's going to be a good decision or not. Talking of Juve, but some players though. Prince 13 has said Dybala leads to leave Juventus for Munich to take the now overdue step up in his career. He'd slide right into that 10 position. Yes, this season Munich have been a lot better. Is it massively a step up? Both teams are winning their leagues every season quite comfortably. This season was 1 point for Juventus, but that was their 9th in a row. I believe for Bayern Munich it was their 8th in a row. So is it a step up? Juventus have made more Champions League finals than Bayern Munich have over the last 7 or 8 years. Since Bayern won it in 2013, I'm not sure they've been in another final. Whereas, if memory serves me correctly, Juventus has been in 2 finals since then. 2015 against Barca and 17 against Real Madrid. Is it a step up? Yeah, this season you could say Bayern Munich are better, but even then, Thomas Müller's been such a massive part of Bayern's success this season, with an insane number of assists, that would he even walk into that 10 position? I'm not so sure. He's unbelievably talented, Dybala. I'm not so sure that's necessarily a massive step up, and whether or not he would get all the game time that he wants. Arsenal News TV has said, unpopular opinion, Bayern will not win the Champions League. That does seem to be an unpopular opinion. This is because when everyone thought Germany will win the World Cup 2018, they lost in the group stage. So the same thing will happen to Bayern. How on earth have you made any correlation between that? This was a national team who were the holders. So rightly so, you'd think they'd be one of the favourites. And then in a complete shock and freak, sort of few games, they went out of the group stage in a World Cup tournament. And that was 2 years ago, and now you're drawing similarities between them and Bayern Munich, which is a club football team made up of vastly different players to a national team. I mean, yes, there are German players in the Bayern Munich team. They will lose against Barcelona in a one-leg match where anything can happen. Thanks, Matt, for your advice on my channel. I keep on grinding. Well, keep on grinding, and good luck with the channel. But surely by the same token that you think Bayern are favourites, but it's one leg against Barca, so anything can happen. Barca can win 2-0 and Bayern can have a bad day. Surely by the same token, you could also flip it, and Barca could have a terrible day and Bayern Munich can win 6-0. I'm not quite sure how you've come to this conclusion. You can't draw a parallel between a club and a national team from 2 years ago in a vastly different tournament. And the reason that it's unpopular, your opinion, is because Bayern are producing everything that everyone is expecting them to do for the whole season. Every time you've expected Bayern Munich to do something and show up and win a game and this and that, they've done it, no questions asked. So that's the reason why they're favourites. And when people say, I told you Bayern weren't going to win if they lose to Barca, putting your money on Barca now is the stupid decision because of the poor season they've had and the brilliant season that Bayern have had. It's nothing to do with not knowing any insider football knowledge, or if you're, saying Bayern are going to win, then you have no idea about football. That's generally what happens. They're favourites for a reason. Bayern aren't favourites, by some pure luck. There's no smoke without fire. Next up, Pratius Tituaria said, hottest opinion, if Barca get knocked out, Setien is sacked. I find Barca in a similar position to Juventus. Yes, it looked inevitable that Sarri was going to be sacked. It looks inevitable that Setien will not be there in the long term. Maybe they'll wait one more year till Xavi wants to come back. But it does look like, with an embarrassing defeat to Bayern on Friday night, you could see how Setien's position would be under a lot of pressure. Whether or not they've got someone to come in probably dictates whether or not he gets sacked. If Barca can't find a good replacement, they may hold on to him for another season. If they can, then you probably think that Setien's gone. If they lose to Bayern. Coyote Man has said, unpopular opinion, the concept of the top 5 leagues ruined football. Just because those leagues are big, it takes attention away from the entertainment and drama of the Russian Premier League, Turkish Premier League, and whenever a team outside the top 5 plays in Europe, they are mostly considered a small club without explanation. It's not without explanation. These are certainly the economic powerhouses of football, these top 5 leagues, and that's why they're called so. There isn't a no reason for it. These teams from these leagues are producing the goods in Europe every single year. Because of that, they get more coefficiency points. And because of the coefficiency points, their leagues are allocated more positions within the Champions League and the Europa League. So, the top 4 in England go into the Champions League. The top 3 go to the group stage. The 4th place got a qualifier. Same with Spain. That's because of how good their teams do on a regular basis in the Champions League. If you look at the teams outside the top 5, the last team in the last 15 years, I think there have been 3 winners outside the big 5 leagues. Porto, I believe, won it, Shakhtar and Zenit. The last team from outside the top 5 to win the Champions League was actually Porto with Jose Mourinho in 2004. Before that, it was Ajax in 95. This is why the top 5 leagues are called so. Because, and don't get me wrong, it is because they're doing better, they get more money, and because they get more money, they get better, and then they do better and get more money. It's a consistent cycle. But these teams are producing the Champions League finalists and Champions League semi-finalists far more often than any other league is. So they're getting more attention, getting more money, and they've got the biggest players. And it is a cycle, but I don't think it's without explanation. Having said that, If you are a fan of the other leagues, by all means, yeah, there's some drama, there's some brilliant players, enjoy it. If you support them, great, all the more fun for you. I love, a lot of teams and players in the Eredivisie and in the Portuguese league especially. Don't watch so much Russian football. But yeah, Scottish football's outside of that as well, can sometimes be really interesting. If you like watching our football, guys, then go for it. By all means, it's your opinion, you can do what you want. And lastly but not least, the Cov box. We're ending on an unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion, Luke Shaw is one of the best left backs in the league. There's a reason that's unpopular, because he's not. And what a great way to end the show. Anyway, that is all from me for today for TFW. As always, thank you so much for your comments in Sunday night's community tab. That is where I'll be posting, where you can leave all of your hottest opinions for Monday's TFW. That's all from me though. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button down below. Leave a like, because that's what smashing the thumbs up button does. Leave all of your comments and check around the screen for loads of other stuff we got going on One Football. But until next time, I will see you guys later.